Hey, how's it going? It's your buddy Mike Squires, and this is the Couchers Podcast, episode 212. 212. My guest, Jymmy Tolland, the former bassist and current guitarist of The Lonely Ones, who just this past week, we're the end of February 2022. This past week, they released their new single, The Way Out. You should go check it out. It is killer hard rock full of great production choices and lots of hooks. So if you like songs with hooks and you like sing-alongs and you like heavy guitar riffs, check it out. Mr. Big loves it, don't you? He doesn't love anything unless he can eat it. Um, I had a great time talking with Jymmy. There were a couple surprises in this one. It was great. We have a lot of stuff in common. He's originally a Northwest guy, has gone back and forth with guitar and bass. We both have Fender Bird basses. You know, there's a lot of stuff. We've both spent some time living in trailers. You know, we're practically related. We might be related. What do I know? Uh, well, I had a great time talking with Jymmy. I hope you enjoy this conversation. We also have a video coming soon, a new Couchers performance video where Jymmy is playing bass. I think he says at some point in our conversation that it might have been his final like bass recording because he's been playing guitar since then. So that's cool. That's a nice little bit. Enjoy this conversation. It's a fun one. There's some twists. Well, almost right up at the top, there's a really great one. If you are enjoying the Couchers podcast or the videos that we put out, the performance videos, please support us at Patreon. That is seriously what makes this happen. I know it probably seems like this doesn't cost any money, it just costs time, but it costs a lot of money and a lot of time. And your Patreon support is what makes it happen, and I really appreciate it. And worth noting, this is our 212th podcast episode. Last week was our third anniversary of putting out the podcast, so that's exciting. We've also made 70 videos, 70 performance videos. So we stay busy. So I really appreciate your support, you guys. Thank you. I would like to take this opportunity to thank a couple people. I want to thank Variety Coffee Roasters in Brooklyn, New York. Variety Coffee Roasters is what I drink every single morning. And I would not steer you towards anything that I thought was bullshit. Variety Coffee Roasters has a great subscription system. You go to their website, varietycoffeeroasters.com, click a couple buttons. They ask you some very simple questions. Bing, bong, bang. And you can get your coffee delivered automatically once a week, once every 2 weeks, once a month, whatever floats your boat. And that's great. You never have to worry about running out of coffee and being an asshole in the morning. So, Variety Coffee Roasters, thank you so much for your support. You guys are awesome. You guys are delicious. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our friends, River City Guitars. You will be able to find River City Guitars back on Reverb again. And they have got, they're selling a whole crap load of guitars, but they've got a bunch up on their Reverb store right now. And there's one in particular that I really, 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 really want. Please don't buy that one, but buy everything else because Bobby is a great person, and he's doing the good work out there. If you've got a vintage guitar or a collection of guitars or an amp or anything interesting that you are interested in moving, get a hold of them. Because they'll treat you right. I've done a bit of business through them, and I love those guys. So thank you, River City Guitars. You guys, we're going to get into the conversation now. Don't forget the golden rule. Mr. Big, what's the golden rule? That's right. He says, treat people the way you want to be treated, and don't be a fucking asshole. Goes
That's
every
a weird
time.
number.
We had a little tech support there to get us going. That's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we did.
How's your day, man?
Oh, been real busy. I've been drove all the way up to Akron and back from Columbus,
Uh-huh.
Ohio, is where I am at. Um, had to drop off or pick up our bus. Been running back and forth. The single came out today, so I've been doing a couple other
Congratulations.
interviews as well.
Congrats. Wait a minute, you
Well,
said
thank you.
pick up your bus. Like a proper
Yeah.
bus?
No, well, I call it that. It's a like a Ford 550 with a like a big like people mover cabinet in the back or cab in the back that we completely gutted and built bunk beds in it.
Like a short bus.
Um, I mean, yeah, longer than that, but yeah, it's like 30 feet long.
Oh, it is?
Yeah,
Hot
yeah,
damn.
it's got a whole sitting area, 6
It's like one
beds.
of those like like one of those hotel shuttle kind of things.
Exactly,
Oh, rad.
exactly. Yeah, it's really
Wait,
cool.
do you just bought it?
No, we bought it probably a year and a half ago, but we had to take it up to Akron and get some work done on it. So it got finished up
Let's
yesterday,
just jump right
and
into
but we were too
that.
busy
So
yesterday.
that's a pretty bold move because you guys are like, all right, we're gonna go for it. I assume you found something like that on auction.
No, we got it from a dealership in Dallas. Our buddy found it for us, and it was actually right as COVID was hitting.
Oof.
So it was probably close to 2 years ago now. Right before that was when I realized everything was like bad with COVID. Was we caught Marty, my singer, and I caught a flight down to Dallas, and everybody was like, keeping their distance. I didn't realize how serious everything was, and so yeah, we flew down to Dallas, went and bought it, and drove it back up.
What a trip,
Yeah, it was weird. It was right when that tornado went through Nashville, so we missed that by maybe 6 hours,
dude.
something like that, and it was like 24 hours straight driving, 20 something hours.
And she ran like a top.
Oh yeah, I mean, well, she failed us on our way to our first show, but since then ran like a top.
That sucks.
Yeah,
How many
yeah, it was
do you guys name your rig?
um I keep pushing it, but nobody else seems to pick up on it.
What are you calling her?
Vando Calrissian.
Nice. It's kind of a mouthful, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, that's probably why it didn't stick. It's not very
Yeah.
succinct.
It's a bit of a mouthful. Also, Lando was a bit of a scoundrel. He was,
Fitting?
he
I don't
he
know. I mean,
had
that's
a
not up for me to decide.
he had a yeah. I mean,
He was so cool
he
though.
was a smooth motherfucker. The dude is cool. Um, did you like the Solo movie?
Oh, dude, I loved
I
it.
did too. I thought it was fucking great. People,
What's weird is that one and Rogue One are my two favorite Star Wars movies ever.
oh really?
Yeah, love them. I mean, not to say I don't like the old ones.
How sick is the
And then I
ending of
liked
Rogue One when it jumps right into Episode 4? It's fucking
I lost it in a theater. I'm not that dude. I'm usually pretty quiet at the theater. I was
the hair on my
losing.
arm
Me and my little
standing up
brother
right
went to go
now
see it.
thinking about it.
Dude, I can't even talk about it. I'm getting chills.
I go
now.
back and I watch just, because I got the Disney Plus. I'll go back and I just watch that scene, the final scene, just because it's like, oh, this is so awesome.
Bro, I don't know if I'm going out tonight. I might watch it.
I might watch it too. It's so good, dude. It's so good.
it's yeah, that's my favorite Star Wars movie, and that is my favorite moment in my favorite Star Wars movie.
Ugh.
So yeah, it's about untouchable.
Let me ask you this. I'm old. So I
Okay.
saw Episode 4 in the theater. I was a young kid. I don't know, first or second grade, but I saw it
Mm-hmm.
in the theater. That's 77.
Mm-hmm.
What was your entry point? What was your
Um, one.
episode 1? I saw that
Yeah.
in the theater
That
too.
was 99, right? Something like that. So yeah, I was like first grade, somewhere around there. And I, the criticism as I've gotten older, people say, well, there wasn't really a plot, there wasn't a point to it as far as the broader story. Um, and but to a 7-year-old or whatever,
Yeah.
who cares that it was the pod racers and they went fast,
Yeah, it's
and then a guy
awesome.
had a lightsaber? Because I mean, you know what lightsabers are. You know who Darth Vader is, even
Yeah.
as a little kid. But that Darth Maul had two lightsaber, or a double lightsaber.
Yeah.
So it couldn't be topped for me.
You just you can't please all the people all the time, right?
If you can make a 7-year-old kid completely lose his mind in the theater when the second blade comes out of a lightsaber, you've done your job.
I'd say so. I would say so. That's awesome. So are you a person who actually watched the movies in storyline order, or did you watch episode 1 and then go watch 4, 5, 6 and then watch 2 and 3 as they came out?
There was you know you mean as far as like when I originally saw them?
Yeah.
um I think I saw one first, then two, uh and then I think me and my dad walked out of two. I disliked it so much, even as a little kid,
Wow.
that I asked him if we could go.
Wow.
Uh, and then probably didn't see 4, 5, 6 until I was in high
And
school.
you've never seen 3?
Um, not that I recall. I think I was just so burnt on it, and I've heard that it's much
3 is
better.
the best one of the first 3.
Is
Yeah,
it?
it's
Okay, yeah,
dark,
that seems to
man.
be the consensus.
It's dark.
But it's like, well, I already know how it
Right.
ends. I'm that guy. Like, I'll look up on Wikipedia how a movie ends before I can finish it. So it's like, I got it. It's all right.
I'm pretty pumped about this Obi-Wan shit, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. Can you tell me a little bit more about that? I've been kind of out of the loop
I
here
don't know
lately.
anything about it except that Ewan McGregor is reprising his role as Obi-Wan, and I believe it's based on Tatooine, and that's what I know. I think that that kid that everyone hated is
Uh,
also coming back to play Darth Vader.
the little kid or the teenage?
The
I always forget
the
their
the
names.
kid that played Anakin, grown up Anakin.
Okay, yeah.
The kid
Yeah.
that Obi-Wan like wipes up on the fucking hot lava planet in episode 3. It's
Yeah,
you
yeah,
gotta
yeah. I got the cliff notes of that
yeah.
movie. I've seen that part.
It's pretty cool.
Um,
You're like, he fucks him up.
Talk about a dude like a classic like Brian Johnson to Bon Scott moment where like Alec Guinness was he was Obi-Wan Kenobi. That's his name, right? Alec
Yeah.
Guinness, I think.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
and Ewan McGregor came in and to such an established role and took over.
No,
I mean,
he was
that's who I
great.
think of now.
I remember as a little kid when Obi-Wan dies, and it was like devastating.
Oh
Imagine
man,
being
yeah.
in the
It was
first grade and
such a
just
weird,
like,
confusing death for a kid to see too, because he didn't really put up a fight. He just kind of gives up, which I think is the point.
here's a fun fact.
It's almost like a sacrificial kind of thing.
His final but bodily words that he spoke, because of course he's got some speaking roles later in other episodes, but
Yeah.
his final speaking words as a living creature: "If you strike me down now, I will become more powerful than you can possibly imagine. Now I've used this during many a pool match, and it's worked for me. It's that and some others taunting. It's really worked.
Mind games.
It gets under
Yeah.
people's gets
Oh
under
yeah.
people's skin too. They
Yeah.
don't like it."
And then you close your eyes when you're about to sink the 8 ball. You turn off your tracker. Boom. Every time like butter.
So you're in Columbus,
Yes.
but in our communications, we have a couple things in common. We've both spent some time in the Northwest,
Oh, we have.
and we both have Fender Bird basses.
Yes, we do.
Yeah. I can't believe I didn't bust mine out and put it back here.
Oh,
That was a real ding-a-ling
I got
move
my
on my part.
Rickenbacker sitting right off screen, but my Fender Bird is over at the studio
Yeah.
still. We could have been buddies. We could have sat here like weirdos with him in our laps.
Double FBs. Um,
Oh man.
when you were in the Northwest, you lived in Tacoma. You were young, right?
Yes.
When did you move away, and is Tacoma where you started playing music?
Yeah. Yeah. Feel free to ask me any parts I'm skipping over here. But yeah, I was born and raised in Tacoma.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Grew up running. Got into music around 14 or so. Started playing guitar. Became obsessed with going to shows and ran all the streets of Tacoma looking for music all the time. That was all I did.
Yeah.
Um, and whether I was right or wrong at the time, I kind of came to the conclusion that I wasn't going to find musical satisfaction there. Just the scenes that I had encountered, I didn't feel like, or in the teens, early 20s kind of circles,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like I was finding anything that was going to be rewarding. So I graduated high school, got a part-time job, saved up like $800 or something like that, and uh, threw a Gibson Les Paul and a little orange Tiny Terror in the back of my car and drove to Ohio and gave it a shot there.
Why? How did you pick Ohio?
Um, I had, I hesitate to call them friends. We've become friends, great friends since, but I had some acquaintances in Columbus, and I had, for pretty much no reason, narrowed it down to Austin, Texas, or Columbus, Ohio. Um, and I guess I just picked Columbus because I kind of knew people there. I knew that I couldn't afford LA, couldn't afford New York. Just my parents, didn't have that kind of money to help me there, and I knew I couldn't do that on my own.
Right.
Um, and so I had to pick somewhere, either the South or the Midwest. And like I said, I knew a couple people in Columbus. Figured some small connections were better than no connections, and just drove across country and actually met the singer Marty of my band the first day I arrived in
Is that
Columbus.
right?
Yep. I had driven 3 days straight, and those acquaintances of mine, they were shooting a music video at a bar and invited me by, and I was still too young to drink at that time, and so I just walked in and snuck a beer off somewhere, drank it, and before I could get through with the beer, fell asleep. Just couldn't even keep my eyes open at this bar and had nowhere to live.
Right.
I was just sleeping in my car. So I just said, well, might as well sleep at the bar. And Marty was actually the one that came and shook me awake and said, who the hell are you? What are you doing? And the rest,
That's amazing.
that connection is history.
Right. You didn't sleep in your car at all on the way out. You just powered through, drinking gas station coffee.
I would go until I couldn't,
Yeah,
and kick the seat back for a few hours. But no, there was no like planned. All right, I'm staying here for 8 hours because I'm 6'3" and it was a '93 Ford Tempo.
right. Yeah,
You can only get so comfortable.
you're not gonna really stretch it out and get some good rest in that thing. Wow, that is a lot of time for a tall guy to spend in that car.
Oh yeah. It was rough. I think it probably aged my young joints about 5 years and 3 days.
That's gnarly. So how quickly did things come together for you? Let me ask you a question about Columbus.
Yeah.
This is going to annoy locals because I love Ohio, but I confuse Columbus and Cincinnati. Columbus is on the river.
No, Cincinnati's on
Cincinnati is on the river. Columbus what is the independent record store in Columbus? Is it like down in a little valley? Are you guys near the border?
Yeah, there's a bunch.
Are you guys on the border?
No, we're dead center. If you were gonna like do a clock face, Cincy is at 7, Cleveland is at 2, and Columbus is the logo in the middle of the clock.
Yeah. What is down there at the bottom?
Cincy, and then if you go east of Cincy, it's a whole lot of haulers. There's not really much civilization beyond a few towns.
It must have had some familiar vibes to Tacoma, because all those sort of heartland American industry towns had old big brick factory buildings, and they were once super thriving. I know that they've come back a lot, but Tacoma feels like that as well. It feels very similar.
It does, but by the time I had gotten up to Columbus, they had kind of shirked that industry feel, or the industrial feel a little bit, whereas Tacoma had not. So this probably seems ass backwards to a lot of people who haven't been to either one of these places, but I felt like I was moving into, the Jetsons,
Right,
when I moved to Columbus, because you're right, it was all, brick buildings and rusty pipes and, old shipyards and this and that in Tacoma.
right.
And all of a sudden, there's tall glass skyscrapers and whatnot in Columbus. So it really was kind of the polar opposite of what people think it would be, going from, the I-5 corridor
Right.
to the Midwest.
And you never considered Seattle or Portland as an option? They were too expensive, or they were too close to home?
Definitely too close to home. I always had an itch to go. I didn't know where that would be, where that would take me, but I didn't think Seattle would be the spot for me. And a lot of that was, the small-mindedness of a teenager.
Sure.
You think you've seen every nook and cranny of a giant city.
Of course.
Even though you haven't, you can't even go to a bar yet. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't have gone there to Seattle or Portland, because it was like, I don't want anywhere that my parents can come visit for the weekend. I wanted to feel like I was out on the Oregon Trail.
Right. That's awesome. So how quickly did things come together for you? What happened?
As far as like getting into a serious band,
dude wait a minute. What happened that night? Dude shook you awake. Did he let you sleep on his couch?
No. No, I went and actually I went and slept at my acquaintances that I had moved out there. They let me sleep at their house night one. I'm misspeaking here. I did find a place to live for the second day I was there.
Wow.
I'd found an apartment or a house to rent, or a room in a house. But I was asked not so politely to leave by the local drug dealers, and was told that, get out.
Right.
We don't want you around here. And I wasn't going to argue with them.
Sure.
I didn't have anything to any ground to stay in. So yeah, then I was living in my car. Excuse me. So yeah, it was in my car for a month, probably 3 weeks.
What time of year was it?
This was May, so it was hot.
Yeah.
But that would beat it being 0 degrees for sure. But I've always been pretty good at camping and whatnot. Not literally camping, just roughing it. And yeah, so I'm spending a lot of time on High Street, which is the kind of the main nightlife drag of Columbus. Just again, still too young to drink, so I was really kind of just throwing darts with my eyes closed, because how much can you do when you can't go into a bar and meet the musicians?
Right.
But I ended up getting a job and a place to live at this weird duplex. It was like this weird slumlord situation that they had like a chained up refrigerator in the back that they would sell beer out of. It was a very strange setup. I saw a lot of weird things that really warped a little semi-sheltered kids
Sure.
perception of reality.
Sure.
Um, and yeah, around like, I'm going to say September. So what would that be? About 4 months. I got a call from those acquaintances that their bass player had been kicked out of the band, and I was trying to make it as a guitar player at the time, and kind of made the quick snap decision. I'd been kicked out of enough open mics at that point because I wasn't as good as I thought I was. uh, that I was like, you know what, you might be wasting your time with this guitar thing right now. This might not be the move. Somebody needs a bass player. You might want to take a stab at that. And that was how I ended up playing bass.
At least, I mean, at least someone came along and invited you to play bass. I had to lie my way into my first gig. I showed up to Seattle with a guitar, same kind of thing. Couldn't find a
Really?
gig, and
And
same deal. I started playing bass. All my first bands were playing bass.
really?
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay. So you,
look at that. We got more stuff in
how
common.
many, how long, or how much did you had to put on as far as lying for your gigs? I've done that before too. I'm curious, like, to what extent.
Oh, I just straight up lied. I'm a bass
Yeah.
player. I'll come audition for your band since you need one. Okay, they said. Here's learn these songs. Yeah. So you get this call and you're like, okay, yeah, sure, I'll do this bass thing. Did you go trade your Les Paul for a bass that day?
No, no, I never got rid of that Les Paul. Just couldn't bring myself to do
Yeah.
it. But I did sell off every other piece of guitar gear that I had. I had that tiny tear and a little cabinet that went with it. That was a graduation gift, kind of. And I got rid of that. Got rid of a bunch of old pedals I had laying around, etc., and bought an Ampeg fridge. And actually, I ended up getting a great deal on an Ampeg 1970 V4, which I didn't realize
Oh.
wasn't a bass head at the
Oh,
time.
the V4Bs are amazing.
It's not the V4B, it's the
And you
V4.
play bass through it?
Yep.
Sounds
Yeah, I didn't know any better. I knew that Ampeg made bass
Probably
amps.
sounds great.
Oh, it rips. I still have it. It's been in the shop for a while, but I still do have it. So yeah, just moved everything. Uh, Basically just left my roommates that I was living with hanging. Just moved, and this band, they claimed Columbus, but much like a lot of bands, they were based out of a place called Crown City, Ohio, which is about 2 hours southeast in the hollers I was telling you about. There's nothing there.
Yeah.
But they had free, room there. So we would drive down there, stay there for as long as we could. I ended up just living down there in a trailer. And we would rehearse there all the time and then come up and play shows in Columbus and tell people we're from Columbus.
Right. You fake it till you make it.
Yeah, exactly. It was, it's a 2 hour drive. I might as well live for free
Right.
far away.
Commuting back and forth is a part-time job already.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It trained me for all the driving I was going to be doing later in my career.
That's right. So how long did that last?
That
Yeah.
band? Like 10 months.
Yeah.
But I dove into it headlong, like without any like fear of what might happen. And I mean, it was one of those things, like when you're experiencing something new, 10 months can seem like years. It still seems
Sure.
like the longest band I've ever been in, even though I've been in bands for, 5, 6, 7 times that long at this point. So it was about 10 months. We ended up splitting up in this real ugly situation, like the next summer. And we just basically started going out and playing out of state. None of us had any desire to be, like the hometown band or anything like that. We would drive out to Syracuse, New York, or Chicago, or what have you.
Sure.
And it got pretty hardcore pretty fast for us. And just, I think that, a couple of the guys kind of realized what this might entail. How broke we were. We were hunting our own food to eat because we couldn't afford to eat.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think just, the I the idea of going out and shooting deer to keep your band afloat was starting to really come into people's minds
I
here.
can imagine that would be a bit stressful.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, stressful, yes, but it was not ever something I questioned.
Right.
I was like, "Okay, I wanna be in a band. If this is what I gotta
Yeah.
do, if I gotta learn how to hunt, all right."
I gotta say, that's never been a requirement for any band I've ever been in. This is
Yeah, you've never been in a band in Crown City, Ohio, I
new.
guess.
This is fucking amazing. At least you were hunting deer and not squirrel.
Well, hold on now. Uh, we did because you like anything, you eat your favorite meal in the fridge first.
Right.
So we would hunt whatever walked on the property because there's on private property there's no tag laws, so you can shoot anything. I mean, not a man, but other than that,
Ohio
you can
sounds
shoot
pretty
any
good.
animal. And so we worked through the deer, we worked through the turkey, we worked through the
There's
quail
wild
and
turkey
the
out there.
pheasant. Yeah. Oh yeah. There's plenty of
Oh,
turkey out
wow.
there. Yeah. They're not very good at avoiding people. That was usually the easiest thing to
Right.
get.
Yeah, they're not the
Um,
smartest fowl.
no, 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 no. The whole was it they look up in the rain and swallow it or drown in
Right.
it. I don't know if that's true, but they acted like it was true. Uh, but yeah, so we finally we ran through all of that, and there was one squirrel in a freezer, and there were four of us down at the trailer, and we like I said, I think we had like 2 bricks of top ramen and a dead squirrel, and we cooked it up, cut it up, and ate it.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's the kind of bonding moment that will never leave you. No,
yeah.
regardless
Oh,
of
these
how
guys,
ugly the band breakup was.
all those guys are still some of my best friends. Ugly band breakups, like you said, you don't break that.
Yeah.
You eat a squirrel with your boys, it's forever.
That's gnarly.
Yeah, yeah. The thing is like I guess it's one of those things. Maybe it's when you're young. Maybe it's when you're doing something you love. It didn't seem weird until later.
Right.
It was just, well, I have to eat. I got it.
Yeah.
My mom was sending me $20 a week to get food, and we would drink it all immediately.
Right. Sure, of
And
course.
so, like, again, that sounds stupid, but what are you gonna? I was 20. Everybody else in the band was in their early 20s.
Right.
I wanted to drink, so we would drink all the beer and then eat whatever we could shoot.
Right. Incredible. So, how did you guys catch the squirrel? Did you shoot it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. We had.
What were you guys shooting?
We had. I'm not sure how familiar you are with firearms and whatnot.
I'm a former Marine.
Oh, so probably much more familiar than me then. Okay, so yeah, we had a couple 22s laying around, an airsoft rifle, and we had a shotgun that we had a bunch of bird shot for.
Shotgun will do the trick.
Yeah. So we would just go with whatever we had. We'd go out and stomp around. We lived on a few hundred acres.
Wow.
So we would just go stomp around for fun when we weren't rehearsing and see what we could find. And if you saw a squirrel, it was up to whatever you had to, what did you have on you?
Yeah, if you have a rock, that might have to do.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Sometimes you just have an airsoft gun if that was what you were walking around with.
Wow. So I imagine that your next move was a step up as far as lifestyle went. Because it looks like you're living indoors right now.
Yeah, I don't know how it couldn't have been.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, I am inside. I've not eaten squirrel since then.
Yeah. It for whatever reason, it doesn't seem all that weird at the moment.
No, like I said, there's. I mean, think about all the stuff you might have done when you were a young broke musician and you had a buck and you split up and made chicken with your friends.
I don't want to.
It was just you're working with the tools you have,
right?
And the tools we had was hundreds of acres of land, and somebody had given us hundreds of 22 shells.
There you go.
That was our tools.
There you go. So what happened? There was an exodus. You left.
Yeah. Yeah. The band, just young kid shit. Looking back on it now, I would have handled things differently, maybe been a little more tactful. I might have been trying to be too iron fisted because I didn't get that you know,
Sure.
I didn't get it. I wanted to be in a band. Why doesn't everybody want to be in a band as much as me?
Right.
Um, and, so I probably played a good part in that. But, the band split. It kicked me in the chest so hard, that band split, because we lived there. That was what my only source of what little income I had. It was my home and my social circle, because I had just moved there and joined that band basically. So I actually moved back to Washington, to Tacoma,
Yeah.
for a summer. My mom got me a job, like trashing out homes. She's in real estate.
Okay.
And she got me a job that I hated.
So you were
And
gutting
my
homes, you were
boss,
ripping out drywall and all this kind of
oh
shit.
yeah, I hated it.
It's
Hated
hard
it.
work.
Not only did I hate the work, but my boss at the
Was
time,
your
he
mom?
loved ribbing on
Oh.
me for being a failed musician, in his eyes.
Right.
And I'd stand there and needed the money so bad. I just, squeezed my palms together and did that for a couple months. And moved back to Columbus because I'm a glutton for punishment, I guess. And uh, arrived there, joined a cover band, got a job in the Victoria's Secret warehouse, and kind of just did the weekend warrior thing for about almost a year.
What kind of cover band?
And, it was generally rock
Yeah.
covers, small clubs, not like the casino circuit or anything like that. And it was, so much love to the people in that band. I still get along with them to this day, but it was not where the direction I wanted to
Sure.
go. And I actually, let's see, by that time it would have been mid 2014, summer 2014, and Marty, the same guy that woke me up in the bar 2 years earlier, he called me up out of the blue and told me that the old bass player for Bobo Flex, his band that he had started, had just quit. The original bass player at that, and basically kind of told me that if I was as dedicated as I seemed to have been for the last couple of years, that I could have the job, but I still needed to try out, obviously. So I kind of just had this opportunity for a touring band, which was, when you're in a club cover band, just somebody going on tour is top of the heap.
Sure.
And yeah, he offered me the gig, presuming I did well on the tryout. So I actually, I was supposed to meet up with the guitar player of the cover band I was in to go see Ted Nugent. He had bought me tickets to go see Nugent.
Nice.
And my little honor system couldn't let me lie to this guy after he'd given me Ted Nugent tickets. So I sat him down and told him that I was quitting the band for a tryout. And he didn't take it well, but he was nice enough. We went and enjoyed the Ted Nugent show. But yeah, so I quit then. I had just quit my Victoria's Secret
You quit
warehouse
before
job
your
right
audition.
before that. Yeah.
You
Are
were
you
confident. You were like, I'm getting this gig.
I don't plan well. I dive headlong. I don't like plan Bs. They give you, ways to fail.
All kinds of life coaches will tell you things to the effect of don't bother with a plan B. Like, don't have a plan B. Why bother having a dream if you have a plan B?
Yeah. I've always called it like planned stupidity. Like every once in a while, whether it's every few months or every couple of years, you get that little feeling in your chest. And no matter how stupid it is on paper, how much it doesn't make sense, you know that that's what you really should be doing.
Right.
And every once in a while, I get that feeling, and I can't help it. It's a compulsion. I have to pull everything out of the way and go do it.
Sure.
And I don't get it very often, but every time it's worked out for me so far. That was me moving to Ohio. That was me quitting that cover band. all this. That was me walking out in the middle of my shift to go join that band that we started eating squirrel. Um, and yeah, so it kind of just fell in my lap, this opportunity to go be in a touring band. Just I guess off of impressions I'd made of just doing stupid stuff that kept working out. Um, and yeah, I practiced for like a month in an apartment, loud as loud can be, all day. I didn't even have a bass amp because I didn't have a bass amp that I could play in my apartment.
Right.
It was still at my old band's rehearsal space. So I would practice Bobo Flex's set all day, go to the cover band's rehearsal that we would have a couple times a week, pretend to leave, go get coffee, come back after they'd left, and practice more at their rehearsal space because I had a real rig there.
Right.
And it was like 10, 12-hour days probably. And just did that for a month and went to the tryout. And, not to brag, but I nailed the tryout. I could not have done it better. And
you were well prepared.
yeah, I'm not a naturally talented person at anything, but I'm really good at getting done what needs to get done, presuming I have the time to do it.
That's way more than half. That's 90% of it, right?
Yeah. It really is. It sounds cheesy, but hard work is definitely a lot more important than, I guess, raw talent, natural talent.
There's nothing more annoying than someone, because I do not have natural talent. I never have. It's always been same, just over and over and over and over and over. I rehearse every day now for songs I have to play in May.
Yeah.
I'm working on them now, hard. Because there's nothing more annoying, especially to someone who works hard to do what they want to do, than someone that is clearly really naturally talented and not killing it. Someone that's like mailing it in,
is that what you mean?
or doesn't fucking know the material.
Oh yeah.
It drives me fucking crazy.
It's one of the most infuriating things, and it's like you want to grab them by the shoulders and go, "You don't know what you've got going on."
Yeah.
This could be so easy for you.
Yeah. Well, fucking hell, good for you. So, what? Tell me about your first gig, and you must have been so stoked. Like it felt good to get in the room with the guys.
Yeah. We rehearsed for like 2 weeks before we went and did the first gig, and that was at a place called Mac's Bad Art Bar in Syracuse, New York.
Okay.
And I was a ball of nerves, which it wasn't normally. At that point I'd gotten used to playing enough that but just out on the road with these guys were professionals. I was not used to being in a band with guys that were so far above my level. And I was chain smoking beforehand. We get out like 3 songs in, probably 4 songs in. Power blows on the stage.
The whole stage goes black.
Actually, no. Sorry. Let me rephrase that. PA power blows.
Oh yeah. We're don't worry about any freezing. Everything will line up.
Okay. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. So the PA blows. The stage power is still just fine. So we're rocking, and everything's fine. And a friend of the band from Syracuse, New York, comes running out on stage, and he's big guy. He's waving his arms. He goes, "Pow, pow, the power's dead. The power's dead." And we kind of did the classic movie band stop where everybody kind of one person at a time stops playing. And I was getting it. I was starting to get comfortable, and all of it flooded back immediately. All those nerves. So we had to wait for like 10 minutes to get everything back, whatever the issue was at the time.
Right.
I don't remember. And I think I might have smoked a pack of cigarettes between before that show and in that break.
Uh, was it a one-off show?
That one was like, I think that was a weekend run. I think it was 3. I
Yeah.
believe we played there, Connecticut, and one other. That's
Yeah.
far enough back now. It all kind of blurs together a
You
little
probably
bit.
hit Pennsylvania on the way home or something.
Very possibly, yeah. I remember the first one was definitely Syracuse,
Yeah.
though.
How long did it take for you to get your footing?
Next show.
It
Next show,
was
I was
all
fine.
over. You were at home.
Yeah, yeah. I was fine. I mean, I've gotten. I feel like I've never stopped growing as a performer. I think once you kind of, if you feel like you're not getting better, you've lost some of the fire, I guess. But so I've never felt comfortable, meaning okay, I'm good enough now as a stage performer.
Right.
Um, and the presence on stage and understanding how this works now, this interacts with that, yada yada. But yeah, by show number 2, I wasn't breathing shallow anymore before the show.
Do you have any pre-show nerves or rituals?
The last time I had pre-show nerves, generally no. I don't think I really ever got nervous after that first show until the new band, the Lonely Ones, played our first show, and it was just post COVID. It had been 2 years since I'd played a show,
How does Bobo
and
Flex dissolve and become the Lonely Ones?
okay, so Bobo Flex was started by 2 brothers, Marty and Sean, and their drummer Tommy. And Sean is the only one of the Bobo Flex guys that had a child, and just he got to a point I mean, you've heard the story. Got to a point he just wanted to spend time with his kid. It was
Yeah.
no harm, no foul, no big
You
blow
can't
up.
fault
He
anyone
just
for that.
decided he was done. And the not to sell anybody else in the band short, including myself, but the 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 real essence of the band was the 2 brothers that would flip flop lead vocals. That was the hook of the band. So it felt like we'd be lying to people. We called it Boba Flex, and it was just Marty as the lead singer. Felt dishonest.
Right.
So in another kind of moment, I guess, of this feels right, let me dive off the cliff after it, we just collectively went, all right, let's break the band up and start a new band with the same members.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Bobo Flex was a 5-piece?
Bobo Flex was a 5-piece.
Got it.
2 guitars, bass, drums, lead singer, and the singer and rhythm guitar player would flip flop between themselves.
All right. And when you guys started writing, did it feel more focused since there was one less singer? Not to take away from the brother, but it can help focus things if there are fewer contributors.
Yeah, I guess the only way that it kind of focused things was from the start. You would quickly have an idea of this is a Sean song or this is a Marty song, one of the 2.
Right.
And once you kind of would peg yourself into one of those 2 things, subconsciously you'd start kicking away ideas that might have been good ideas because they didn't fit what a Sean song was in your head or a Marty song.
Right.
And once you get rid of, I don't want to say get rid of, that sounds disrespectful. Once you're in a position where you only have one lead singer, you aren't thinking in that kind of dichotomy anymore. It's just, well, any music Marty's going to sing at the lead part on, so might as well get weird with it or try something that's out of the norm.
Sure. And how quickly did a full set come together for you guys?
Well,
were there any carryover songs?
No. We wanted to, if we were going to do it, we wanted to have it be a clean break.
Yeah.
I didn't want there to be any confusion. because it was a lot of confusion right as we were kind of explaining to people what was going on. People didn't understand. Are you Bobo Flex under a different name? Are you going to play Bobo Flex song? People didn't quite understand that we were breaking up a band and starting a new band. It was not just like a rebrand.
Sure.
And so yeah, we wanted to make it a very cut and dry kind of thing. No, this is an entirely new band. None of the music is going to carry over. And we would have started playing pretty quickly, but we released our first single on March 13th, 2020, which was
tough time.
Yeah. You're putting that together.
Pretty tough time for music.
yeah. It was not easy to deal with because we had, how much planning can go into releases and launching of all, especially the brand as a whole. You're working on stuff 6 months out.
Yeah.
And you just have to go, boop, never mind, pause everything. Let's try to figure out what's going on here.
There must be some silver lining, though. Talk to me about some silver lining stuff, because everyone experienced the generalities, the restrictions that everyone lived with through COVID and quarantine times. And it sucked, but, I live out in the country. I feel shitty to say, but I feel barely affected, other than wearing a mask when I went to the grocery store.
Yeah.
My life didn't change that much, I know that it changed a lot for a lot of people, and I feel for them. I'm not, I don't want to discount that, but a lot of people squandered that time, but I get the sense that you guys did not.
No. I guess I'll give you the most unexpected silver lining first and foremost, was that all of us, especially me, are extraordinarily scatterbrained people. Have trouble with staying on task, figuring out what needs done, putting it in list form, and working on it.
You have a manager?
At the time, we did not.
You got a manager now that's whipped you into shape?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, she does a good job of, I tell her, hey, can you do this? And then I'll forget that I asked her to do something. And she goes, oh yeah, and I took care of such and such. I went, yeah, I was going to ask you about that. Yeah. But we kind of got to dive into the weeds of a lot of the stuff that I guess we were letting us kind of almost pass by without really analyzing what was going on in Bobo Flex, because we toured more than anybody else in the country in Bobo Flex. We were out 8 months a year on average, all US. And you're out that much, you kind of, stuff slips through the cracks. Not like anything bad, but you maybe you don't see the forest for the trees. You're not looking and figuring out. The biggest example was streaming really took over the world in the time that we were a heavily touring band. So we knew to upload stuff, through the distribution, and it would go to Spotify, but nobody had the time or the mental energy to figure out, okay, how do you really get this algorithm kind of kicking? How do I get onto the playlist that I want to get on? How do I expand this audience?
Right.
Because Bobo Flex was a successful enough band that we could all survive off it. So there was no oh, I have to eat this month. So it was almost like kind of an accidental complacency on my part, at least. And once we had all this time and we weren't touring, I just had nothing else to do but try to figure out how to grow the band online. And, you start diving into the weeds there.
Let me ask you this.
So yeah, as for silver lining, I got to see all the stuff I had missed.
Being on tour as much as you guys were on tour, you must have been a pretty well-oiled machine live.
I think the best.
That kind of activity, that's the kind of shit that makes a band. That really makes a band. you know? When I think, I don't know. You think about bands like Guns N' Roses, they put out their
Mhm.
Appetite, and it's unfucking believable. It's you can't fuck with that album because they played so much, right?
Oh yeah,
They rehearsed every day. They played so many gigs, and then they just made a record that was just them playing.
yeah.
Uh, there wasn't a lot of time to finger fuck it, so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, Talk to me about the pain. I mean, did you guys continue to play
Like
in
explain like
2020? Did
through
you
COVID.
guys rehearse? I fucking would have if I had a band, especially if I
We
lived with my
it
bandmates.
it took a minute for us to get back to it. By I'm gonna say May or June, we started to get more comfortable because we're kind of spread. We were at the time spread out a little more over across
Got
Ohio.
it.
So you're worried about the travel and this and that, and you were
It was a
I
sketchy
didn't
time.
like you said it was kind of the Wild West. It There was no guideline on what you were supposed to be doing.
Sketchy time.
Um, yeah, and eventually, yeah, we kind of just got to this point where we were like, listen, I'm staying at home constantly. If you're staying at home constantly, you're staying at home constantly, and you're staying at home constantly, I think we should be safe to get together in a room
Yeah.
and start recording, or start writing and playing and whatnot. Um, and that was where a lot of the kind of like second wave of the songs that we started writing came, was from that like midsummer to early fall time when maybe bars were just starting to open up a little bit again here and there. Um, we were feeling comfortable going to Guitar Center and getting strings
Right.
or whatever. And yeah, that was our entire outlet. I didn't have a social life outside of coming home to my girlfriend and going to rehearsal.
Sure. And I guess there weren't a ton of distractions through that time. So were you guys able to be pretty hyper focused on writing? The songs, for people who haven't heard, the songs are extremely catchy. And so I guess I'd like to know, what do you what do you bring to the band that is different from what the other guys are bringing to as far as influences? And what are your guys'
Uh,
common influences?
yeah, I definitely I definitely come from the older school of like blues influenced rock. And there's a lot of other things that I take a lot of influence from, but that was my square one as a kid. It was Appetite, it was the first four Aerosmith
Fuck
records,
yeah.
and it was Bon Scott era
You
ACDC.
betcha.
That was what my dad had on cassettes. And that era, if you take a lot of that, and this is not an across the board rule, but if you take a lot of that stuff, it is more about the feeling, or like just a weird little sound that kind of squeaks through, or a weird little layering part that's way in the background that's kind of felt not heard, more so than the melody of the vocals, at least in my interpretation. There's not a huge amount of melody on the first four Aerosmith records. Dream On, of course,
Sure.
Sweet Emotion, but it's a lot more street talk.
Vibe.
Yeah, vibe. And it's the guitar tones, it's the Walk This Way is a catchy riff, but that guitar tone is what makes it. If it was a little
Also,
bit
Joey
different,
Kramer is a super badass, underappreciated,
of
like,
course, of course, yeah, I wouldn't take anything away from anybody
yeah.
else, but I mean, yeah, but that drum sound, if that was a little bit different drum sound, if it was a little bit more polished, a little more 1980s, it would not cut it. It was that dirty, modern kind of James Brown, but a little bit more hi-fi kind of sound.
Sure.
And that perfectly captured, like you said, the vibe. So to get back, I'm getting off track here, but I've always taken that. I like layers. I like, okay, what is the song trying to say? Marty is the melody guy. What's he saying? What can I do with this song to give something that's way over here on this speaker far away that'll give you that feeling that complements what he's saying.
Sure. So what, other than they needed a bass player and you and you displayed some dedication that they saw and appreciated in you, what are your guys's what are you guys listening to in the van when you're driving around, or in the bus,
Uh, a lot of it,
in Vando?
a lot of Pink Floyd.
Oh,
Um, yeah, love Floyd. I got into Floyd late. Um, let's see, what
do you have a
else have we been
favorite
listening
Pink
to? I
Floyd
mean,
album?
my favorite. I'm real basic. I like Dark Side of the Moon,
Nothing wrong.
but I love Animals. I love metal.
Animals and
Our
Metal, I
live
think, are
show,
my two favorites. Those are
our live show intro. And only two people have figured this out so far, so I might be blowing our little secret by saying this. But our live show intro that we run is a pitched down version of One of These Days off of Metal.
nice.
And he says, one of these days I'm going to cut you into little pieces.
Yeah.
And that's it. He says that and it snaps into the song.
Oh, nice.
Our first song of the set.
Right.
So yeah, a lot of Floyd. We all kind of can get together on Queen. A lot of it is like, two guys have their band that they bond over. Besides a few, there's nothing that everybody likes. Tommy and I love Mastodon, and we love rap. So that's our thing. Marty and
What's your
I
favorite
will
flavor
listen
of
to.
rap?
My favorite flavor of rap is modern Coke rap.
Really?
I love Pusha T, love Freddie Gibbs.
Oh, I like Pusha T. I'm a Clips guy, so I remember when that first record came out, I
Perfect.
was all in.
I am a huge Kanye West fan too, completely unironically.
Really?
Yeah, love My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Except for Sticky Fingers by the Stones, that's my favorite album of all time.
Really?
Yep, love it to death, front to back.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, but that goes back to the vibe thing.
Sure.
There's melody on that record, of course, but what is his name? Mike Todd, I think, he's one of the lead producers, and he's a live instrumentation guy. He's great with synths and figuring out, just tweaking that guitar tone until it's perfect. And to where it's not necessarily the part, it's the sound of the part.
I would never contest that he's brilliant, hyper talented. There's just so much circus around him all the time. It's hard to see through.
But yeah, you are without a doubt right. And I don't know the guy. I'm not going to put my name next to his character. But, I think with time, we forget how rotten some of the guys that in the 70s really were. Some of those rock guys. They weren't good people.
Let's not stop at the 70s. I mean, let's not even stop in the 2020s. There's a lot of rotten people out there,
Yeah.
It's just everyone's on Instagram telling you how rotten they are now.
That's exactly it.
We've only just started believing people when they,
Yeah, exactly. That's always been kind of thing. It's like, well, were you not, why are you upset about, Drake saying this or Kanye West saying this? You really loved it when Bon Scott said this.
Right.
In 1978. What's different? Was it that he had, PR was different back then, so you could hush it up a little bit?
I mean, he said all kinds of crazy shit.
He was also fairly tongue-in-cheek too, but it's like, okay, are you gonna?
I think he's the greatest lyricist of all time.
I wouldn't fight you on that.
Greatest.
Better
than Bob Dylan.
Listen, he had me in second grade with Big Balls, and I was in from there on
Yeah,
out.
dude.
That was my first like real exposure to discovering AC/DC on my own instead of what my dad showed me.
Right.
And you know, it was young influence. I went, a song about balls. Come on, man, it's on.
Yeah. I had a whole notebook of Bon Scott lyrics that I made. I listened to the record and I wrote the lyrics out in my little
Yeah.
spiral notebook. Made Play-Doh action figures of AC/DC.
Oh,
The greatest.
he could tell a story, and he was, I think, a better singer than people give him credit
For
for too.
sure.
To where he could deliver the lines in a way that made you believe him.
He was a
It
fucking
didn't
rock and
sound
roll
fake.
genius.
Exactly.
And you don't have to make high art to be a rock and roll genius. That's the beauty of it.
Riff Raff is one of the greatest songs of all time, I think.
Sure.
And it's just about being a scumbag, but not the worst scumbag. That's it.
Yeah.
That's all he's telling you.
So that's something that you guys can all listen to in Vando.
Yes.
That's nice. That's nice. Where do you draw the line with AC/DC? Because I don't draw the line. I'll listen to their last record. I don't give a fuck.
I would say, I would want to say anything without Phil Rudd, but then that would exclude Razor's Edge, wouldn't it? Wasn't that Chris Slade?
I don't know. I have the box set. I have to go and look at the record.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Chris Slade. So I guess I don't draw a line for AC/DC.
Yeah, fuck
when
it.
What was the album where they put too much reverb on everything? Was that
Black Ice?
Fly on the Wall?
Fly on the Wall. Oh, Fly on the Wall. Flick of the Switch. Those
Flick of the Switch. I think.
But they're all great records.
I forget which one of those it is. Listen, the worst AC/DC record is still a damn good record, but yeah, I would say that those at least would fall at the bottom of my AC/DC barrel.
Right. All right, that's fair enough.
What about, so you don't draw the line at all?
Fuck no.
What's your least favorite though?
Huh?
But what is your least favorite? Are you a Bon Scott or a Brian Johnson guy?
I'm a Bon Scott guy for sure.
I figured.
I mean, the thing is, I got into AC/DC before Brian Johnson.
Okay.
Just from older people around me. I'm 50, so in 1980 or 79, I was 8. Totally old enough to, I was listening to Highway to Hell. It was fucking incredible. Can you imagine if Bon Scott sang on Back in Black?
I've always heard rumors that there's some demo versions of Shoot to Thrill.
Really?
With Bon Scott on them.
Really?
I think there was 2 songs off Back in Black. Or I'm sorry, did I misunderstand? Did you say Bon Scott on Back in Black? Yeah. Yeah, I think I heard tell there's demos out there somewhere.
It seems shocking that they wouldn't release those, especially considering they put out that box set of Bonfire, and it had a lot of weird unreleased demo stuff and alt.
Yeah, there was it Snake Eyes?
Backseat
there was
Confidential.
A different version. Yeah. There was a bunch of like which one? I haven't listened to that in a long time. Which one was the one that was beating around the bush but wasn't?
Backseat Confidential.
That was Backseat Confidential. Okay.
That's one of my favorite I think that Highway to Hell is my favorite AC/DC album, which is, for a lot of AC/DC purists, an unpopular opinion, but I love the production value. I love that it's got superior. The weirdest AC/DC song of all time, Love Hungry Man.
I love that. I love the bass line in that song.
It's so
and everything.
Fucking good.
My dad used to put that on when he would make me Hungry Man dinners. And he would just say that he loves Hungry Man. That's my memory of that.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah, I would give it to Powerage.
Sure.
But if Powerage had Highway to Hell's production, I think you've got a perfect album.
Yeah. Anyway, the greatest. Also, he was a real tiny man. Did you happen to go to the EMP when the AC/DC exhibit was there?
No. Was it awesome?
It was fucking incredible. Are you kidding? But they had his leather jacket.
Oh,
They had his leather jacket and one of Angus's schoolboy outfits, inside of like a big
when was that?
glass thing. And tiny fellas.
Little tiny, and you don't realize it because they were all so short
Right, and also
that
they're on stage or on a TV
yeah,
screen. Everyone looks fucking huge, right?
yeah, yeah. I sometimes feel weird in my band because I'm much taller than everybody, and I feel like was it when Cliff Williams or Mark Evans? I forget which one was the tall one in the band. There was one guy that kind of towered over
Make
everybody.
him be way in the back.
Yeah, yeah.
Walk
You got to
up for
stand way
the
in the back so the
fucking
perspective's not wrong.
walk all over you, and then walk backward. Like just get out, get the fuck
The
out of here.
coolest part about that was that him, I don't know if you've ever noticed this consciously, him and Malcolm would be perfectly in step.
So amazing.
They would do it as if they were in the military.
So good.
It was the coolest shit I've ever seen. If I was that kind of bass player and I had a band that had a rhythm guitar player like that, I'd go, no, we're walking up together every time.
So good.
Perfection.
So tell me about what you guys are getting into this year. We're shifting gears quick here. We just pulled a Starsky and Hutch maneuver out of AC/DC.
I'm with it.
We zipped out of the AC/DC parking lot, robbed them. Tell me what you guys are getting into this year. And
just in general, let's see. We actually just put out our first single in a while today.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. The kind of the big like overarching focus we've had is I just switched to lead guitar, so we've been really working on that.
You did?
Yeah. I'm back from the story where I got kicked out of the open mics till now. I'm back, baby.
Well, shit.
So that's been the last few weeks of my life has been in rehearsals doing that. And I mean, if we're talking like goals, it's support tours.
Yeah.
That's it. We're at a stage in our career where, from Bobo Flex, we can draw respectably throughout the Midwest and a couple spot markets here and there, but I don't want to do that forever.
Sure.
It might be the quick money making decision, but we gotta go out and we gotta hit the street, making less money, playing for theater size bands and whatnot. And it's kind of just like I'm discovering the more and more I get involved in the industry side of music. Like you think it's A to B, but then you realize that there's actually B is actually C.
Right.
So you got to figure out how to get from A to B. And then you realize that C is D and D is E. And you realize it's like you know what a Mandelbrot is?
No.
It's those like weird psychedelic things where it keeps zooming in and it keeps zooming in and you realize that it's never ending.
Yeah. Okay. Where you like zoom into an eyeball and you get through the black of the eyeball and there's just another face and it's just like, yeah.
The White Stripes did a video kind of like it. And yeah, so I've been realizing that, okay, man, really, I thought that this was a kind of a straight line, but it's not. So I wish I had a more direct answer. I feel like everybody else has a plan, and maybe they're lying, or maybe they got it more together. But I'm trying to figure out where the letters stop.
I mean, I think everyone's got a plan, but I think Mike Tyson famously said, "Everyone's got a plan till you get punched in the nose," right?
Yeah.
And
maybe I've just been punched in the nose enough times that maybe I can just see what it really looks
like.
We've
all gotten punched in the nose a bunch in the last couple years. Do you guys have tour lined up for this year, or are you still seeking?
we have we've got some headlining spot dates. In the markets that we draw well, and we've got some festival dates, which I guess I should put that under the umbrella of support stuff.
Yeah.
Um, some of which I can't talk about yet, but there's a good amount of festival dates coming
Awesome.
up. And we've got one-offs here and there opening for different bands. We did a couple dates with Seven Dust at the very end of this last
Oh,
year.
rad.
That was great.
We love Clint. Clint's our bro.
I love Clint. Clint was really, really nice.
He's a fucking sweet man.
They were all really cool guys. I talked to Clint for a minute about not sleeping. We had a very brief conversation about how both of us back in our van days were the ones that always got stuck driving, and how much you learn to miss sleep. But yeah, so yeah, we did some Seven Dust dates, and just trying to get out and do more stuff like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, a perfect example of the A to the B to the C is you realize how many of these bands that are hitting this, what qualifications you have to meet to be up to their standards that they want to have you out opening for them. And so now B moves to C, and you got to figure out how to meet those requirements. And then C moves to D as you figure out, oh, well, to meet this requirement, I actually have to go roll the dice with some money here, or spend 6 hours, reading articles about how to get Spotify to finally give a fuck.
Right.
Things like that. You know what I mean?
I know. I mean, from the outside, of course, the internet makes everything kind of look glamorous. Social media, everyone's kicking ass on Instagram, right? From the outside,
exactly.
Right? I'm sure that the day-to-day tedium feels differently to you, but it seems like things are going well for you guys, and you have good forward momentum. So I'm really happy for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't mean to say any of that in the way that like it's a fruitless endeavor.
Right.
It's just I'm realizing it's not just one big moving piece.
Well, there's a lot of peripheral bullshit that's not playing guitar, singing, beating on a drum, or playing the guitar or whatever.
Oh my God.
That goes along with being in a band. And it also isn't, it's not even necessarily all fun stuff like, oh, we made a video and it took us 14 hours 3 days in a row. It's like, it's not even that stuff. It's like fucking getting the hashtags right on your fucking posts, or what. It's just like, oh, you got to be kidding me.
I would hazard a guess that I have said the word algorithm more in the last 2 months than I have at any other point in my life prior to turning 21.
You probably said the word algorithm more than you've said the word riff.
That is depressingly accurate.
Which sucks.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, when you got into it in your teens or early 20s and you first decided you were going to be serious, you thought it was just, let me write these songs and a label will pick them up and I'll be on a jet in a few years. It seemed that simple.
Kind of did, actually.
Yeah. The running joke that we kind of have internally within the band is every once in a while, and I hope you can relate to this.
Is this a young person thing? If it is, I can't relate.
So people will come up to us with advice and they'll go, why? What? I'll tell you what you guys should do, and that's when you're in for something good.
That's my least favorite way for a conversation to start, for the record.
Oh yeah.
You know what you should do?
They'll tell you. I'll tell you what you should do. You guys should just go out on tour with Foo Fighters, or go on tour with Guns N' Roses.
Oh, you think so?
Fuck, man.
I didn't even think of that.
You want a job? I've just been sitting here in this 200 cap bar playing. Why was I doing that?
Yeah, thanks, Carl. Thanks for the great idea.
That's a good idea, man. I had never thought of that. I haven't dreamed of that since I was a
I didn't even
kid.
consider it. Do you think I should just call him and ask?
What should I just should I send my tape in
I'll just,
to the label?
yeah.
Do you think they'll pick it up now?
Yeah, no, let me tell you something. My least favorite way for a conversation to start is someone saying, you know what you should do? You know what you need to do? And pretty much my
Please tell me.
ears just like close up at that point.
Please tell me. Please tell me what I should do.
Um,
You listen. I've gotten a lot of plays just like off sheer trying something that nobody else would try. I have not yet succeeded at just walking up to somebody wildly famous and going, "Hey, how about me? Take me out on tour."
you know what? Uh, it doesn't not work. I mean, I'm not saying that it's going to work, but it doesn't not work. No one has ever invited me to do anything. I've always said, what about me? That's
Yeah,
actually what I've said a number of times. And so I wouldn't say, I would never say to you, you know what you should do, or
I'm going to give you a
you know what
pass.
you
Go
should
ahead.
do. But I will say, if given the opportunity, you should assert yourself in that way. Now, obviously not in a dick way, but if you have an opportunity to pass your music to someone and in a respectful way, you know, like I wouldn't interrupt people at, I mean, you know, I'm not telling you some shit that you don't know. You're not going to interrupt someone while they're having, you know, lunch with their wife or whatever,
Yeah,
you know, or they're like in the middle of some very serious conversation, but I don't know. It every big band has an opening band, and why not
yeah.
you?
I I think that there's some gold in that. I like the "what about me" because that runs with the implication of it's already happening. How am I going to get involved?
Yeah,
And I like that.
yeah,
And I listen, and there's something to be said for with a perfect amount of tact, and it has to be perfect, making somebody just a little bit uncomfortable with saying no. That can that's gotten me places. It's like, is saying yes going to be easier than this awkward moment I'm dealing with now?
you could walk up to
A
them
little bit.
and just be like, "Hey, hold on one second." My favorite thing is to tell people that I'm busy and I have to go after they tell me that they need to get off the phone, which is kind of relatable. This is kind of the same thing. Hey, I gotta wrap it up. Hey, listen, I'm really busy. I gotta go.
is that how you're going to sign off of us talking?
Maybe, maybe.
I like it.
Um, you guys do have a booker though, and
Yes,
how is your music being released? Independently, or are you guys with a label?
we are on a label. Imagine Records is the label,
Sorry.
um, and we we have a team that we kind of built amongst ourselves, and that team got us involved with the label. And actually, to kind of move right in with what you were just saying about kind of sometimes going the "what about me," that was how we ended up with our manager.
Right.
um, Shauna, she started out as our publicist, and I had this brilliant idea to find a band, and I'm not going to say who, obviously, but find a band that I thought was getting great press that I thought maybe they were a little less than deserving of, and found out who that band's publicist was, and cold called her, and she was shocked at I guess at how like maybe ballsy is the word, I don't know,
Right.
but just yeah, I'll just call. and because she was just used to getting she was getting used to getting referrals from other publicists and this and that management, and she ended up kind of being the linchpin to the beginning of our whole team that we have built now. But yeah, to answer your question, yeah, we are on a label. We released, I think, our first 3 or 4 songs independently. Basically, everything through the real meat of COVID was done independently. But since about this time last year, uh, we've been with the label. Imagine.
Got it. Where are they out of?
They're out of the Northeast. I mean, there's one guy that's out of New York. The head of the label's in Connecticut. It's a relatively small label,
Mm-hmm.
which I like because I've seen enough horror stories recently, especially through
Pretty
COVID,
easy to get
of
lost in the
baby
shuffle.
bands. Yep, exactly. I don't want I don't want to trip and fall right before we're even started. I don't want a record shelved. I don't want I've got enough friends who have been through that like recently.
Sure.
Um, and COVID did it to them, and so I think we kind of made the right decision there, um, in going with a smaller label that that we could be a little more of a priority in.
So single came out today. Is there a full length?
As of now, no, we're still running the singles game. Um, I just think until we really have something to to have a purpose behind putting out a record, I just think that it would be kind of throwing something out into the
Kind of
ether.
feels a little bit like if everyone doesn't have 100% confidence that they can go out and support an album cycle and tour, you know, I mean,
Yeah,
people are still canceling shows.
yeah,
So,
oh yeah, yeah. So like off of this single, we're gonna be we're doing a couple shows with Blacktop Mojo next month, and then as we're expecting it to ramp up through radio and whatnot, we'll be hitting the road on some headliners and some direct support club dates through April. So that's like the amount of I think that is deserving of a single.
yeah, sure.
I don't know that I don't know that a Midwest run at this stage in our career of headliners and co-headliners and direct support dates, I think that an album would be wasted. Maybe that's a little harsh, but you know what I'm
Sure.
saying. Um, so yeah, I guess we're sitting around waiting, not sitting around. We're actively trying to make it happen to where either through our hard work we magically are playing 500 seaters sold out, or we get an opportunity to go out with a band that is Seven Dust size
Right.
or something like that. That okay, cool, we've got this album out. We're going to spend the next month playing in front of 1,500 people a night.
That's a pretty sweet gig if you can find it.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you the two dates we did with them really wet my whistle.
Buddy, it's hard to go back too.
Yep. Oh yeah. I've gone there and gone back plenty of times, but that one was a little extra
Wait till
tough.
you get yourself one of these big national tours where you're chasing a bus, a big bus where they're night driving, and
Oh yeah.
you know you've got 4 days between shows, so you're doing your own headline shows. So you go between playing like sheds or arenas or whatever, and then like Tubby's fucking watering hole. You know, it's
Listen, I don't know if I'll ever get too allergic to Tubbies, man. I got a
it's
soft
pretty.
spot for
Actually,
the
it's
Tubbies of
some
the
of my
world.
most favorite stuff are those weird gigs.
I would like to get to the point in my career where we're playing big enough venues that I could go lose money playing at a club and not care. Go do like what you see Mastodon did for a
But
while.
you don't lose money
Go,
every time you play a gig, man. You are successful.
oh,
I need to
yeah.
start.
I'd like to do that where it's a Metallica did the thing where they were doing the was it the $19.84 tickets to go see them at theaters.
Wow.
And of course, 1,000 seater on a $20 ticket for Metallica is going to sell out in 4 minutes.
Sure. They did that?
I
When
just,
did they do that?
oh, it was right around the time we started touring with this band. So it would have been late fall,
That's awesome.
early
They do a
or
lot
late
of
summer,
cool
early fall.
shit. They
Yeah,
catch a lot of shit, but they do a lot of cool shit.
it's very cool, man. I think stuff like that's awesome, and I want to get to the point in in our career where I can do whatever I want or whatever we want because it's fun. And it's like, okay, maybe we lost $1,500 on this, but what is that? Because it's a lot to me right now.
I'm gonna do the thing right now. You ready?
Do it.
I love that long
Do it.
pause. You're like, fuck, what thing? You know what you should do? You should do whatever
What
the
is
fuck
that?
you want right now, even if it costs you all your money. If you
I
drain every last cent out of your pocket and your bank account, but it brings you joy, fucking do it, dude. Seriously.
okay. I think I have a good response to that. I already am.
Good.
I just don't have enough money to do more than I'm doing.
Yeah. No, I've I've said this so many times especially in the last few years that if I was a millionaire, I fucking wouldn't be a millionaire.
Yeah,
It just
I know
fucking
exactly
wouldn't
what you mean.
happen. I just don't like I would spend all of the money
Mhm.
doing joyful shit.
Yeah,
Probably give most of it away
yeah.
to more deserving
I
people.
I feel like a lot of people are more deserving than me. So that would probably go pretty quick in my case. But I mean, yeah, that's an enviable thing, and I think that that's something that a lot of people in general kind of have trouble articulating. You know, they maybe it's like, okay, you've got kids to feed or whatever, so you've got you have to do
Sure.
such and such with your money, of course. But outside of that, I think at the end of the day, it's like I would like to not have to do anything. And then that doesn't mean be lazy. It means do whatever I want. If I want to sit on the couch all day, do that. But probably it's going to be some cool project, or
Yeah.
I want to drive up to I've always wanted to go to Baffin Island in Canada. I want to go there. I can't you got to charter little flights to get up there. I want to go there. But you got to, that's going to take a little capital.
Sure. uh I know it's been a long time since you committed your bass part. There goes Mr. Big. See you later, alligator. Um, it's been a long time since you committed your bass part to. We won't name the song here,
Yeah,
but it's.
we'll keep it quiet.
I swear it's almost done. Like it's the drums, obviously the bass, the guitar is on there, the lead vocal is on there, and there's even some hand drums, some congas on there.
Oh,
And all we're waiting for right now is background vocals. And it should be done this weekend. So it might be the next thing that comes out. It might come out the week after next, which I'm really excited about
I'm
because
excited
it's
about.
fucking awesome.
I had such a good time recording that. Um, and I think that might be the last bass part I recorded ever.
Is that right?
Yeah. Um, do you remember when we were doing that back and forth? Was that like November?
It might have been longer. I don't even know, dude. I mean, November seems like weeks ago, but it was 4 months ago. Newsflash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think that was because, yeah, I think that was the last bass part I recorded. I haven't really done anything in a studio since then. We've been playing out so much. So I don't know, I might never record another bass part again. I'm a guitar player now.
Do you? And so, wait a minute. You still have the same Les Paul?
Yes.
Amazing.
Isn't that
Yeah,
cool?
that's great. What is it?
Yep. What
What
is
is
it?
it?
It's a 2010 traditional pro.
Oh yeah, I had one of those.
Um,
They're fucking great.
yeah, I really, really liked it. And I got it. I mowed lawns for like 2 years in high school, saving up for it. And uh, ended up buying it and didn't understand the concept of like vintage at that time or used and the value of. I thought used meant
Yeah,
worse.
sure.
So I said, well, why don't you get something new?
Right.
So I probably could have spent about $600 less than I did and gotten something just as good or a little better. But I mean, I can't
Or
picture
spent that much
playing
money on
anything
a
else.
used thing.
Yeah, but I, it was $2,000 at the time,
Yeah.
and I swear, like you could hand me a different traditional pro from the same year, and I could tell you it's not mine. It's so ingrained in who I am at this point.
Right. That's awesome, man.
Yeah, so it was cool to kind of pull it because I keep it around for writing's sake and whatnot. But it was cool. It was the first time I plugged it into a half stack in probably 6-7 years.
Wow. Uh, Before we wrap up, tell me the story about how you got your Fender Bird bass. Because they're
Oh,
pretty, they're pretty fairly unusual instruments, and we both have one.
yeah. Okay, so I actually got it in Seattle. I was on tour. This was fall 2017, right? And I we had just paid ourselves. It was like the midpoint in the tour, so I had a little, walking around money, and my whole family came out to the show. And my dad, had told me like, hey, I got a couple $100 towards a guitar if you want to buy something, up your budget a little bit.
Yeah.
And very cool guy. And we walked into. Are you familiar with Thunder Road
Hell
guitars?
yeah, I am.
Yeah.
They're
So we
good
walked
friends
in
of mine.
there. Okay. So there's was it the bass? Is it the bass store or the bass
Bass
shop
shop.
in the back?
You probably don't.
Bass
Did you
shop.
deal with Chad or with Jeff Rouse?
Oh man, Chad rings a
Was
bell,
he?
but
Did he
man,
look like? Did he look like Darth Fabio? Did he have like rock and roll jet black hair, or
no.
did he look like a dude?
Just he was pretty
Short
dudely.
haired dude, big like
Yeah.
big dude.
Yeah, pretty like
Yeah,
muscular as I
yeah,
recall.
burly
Yeah.
dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
I bought my first good
Um
bass from him.
okay. So yeah, which one was he? Which
That's
What was his
Chad.
name?
My
Chad.
my old
Okay, yeah.
bandmate Jeff Rouse also works there. Yeah,
Okay. So I walked in and I just saw that thing on the wall and was like, what the hell is that? That thing is so cool. And picked it up and it was only $450
right.
and sat down and played it and plugged it in. It sounded good. Uh, and got to talking to Chad about it. And he's telling me, yeah, there's some guy who's I never he says there's some guy who I don't remember the word he described, but it meant weird. He's a strange guy that comes in, buys instruments, guts them, customizes them, switches parts out, and resells them just to try to make his money back as a hobby.
Right.
And I guess he had come in and bought this Thunderbird, and I guess he put was it Warmoth? I think it's a Warmoth lefty jazz neck on it. And completely like refinished it, redid the electronics on it. You can't get those electronics in that type of Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Like the toggle switch and the knob layout. And he came back and just sold it to him, completely redone. Just wanted whatever he'd put into it. It's an Epiphone.
Yeah.
And I have since then, maybe you can follow up with Chad for me and we can put this together. I've been trying to find the guy that made that bass.
Oh, I'll figure it out.
I've called Thunder Road a couple times in it's been about 5 years now, 4.5 years. And every once in a while I'll call and they'll go, yeah, let me see if I can go through and ask such and such if they know who such and whatever.
I'll figure it out
to the bottom
tonight.
of it. If you can figure out who made that bass, I will lose it.
I mean, I might even know who it was. That's how funny and small Seattle is, you know?
Yeah, I I will be forever indebted to you if you can help me get to the bottom of who made
Well,
that
if there's
bass.
one thing I love, it's when people are forever indebted to me. It's like the opposite of you saying, you know what you should do?
That's your favorite. You know what you should do? Be forever indebted
Yeah,
to
that's
me.
right. Oh, that's
Ugh.
amazing. I love that. I love that we have that in
Yeah,
common. I love the Fenderbird.
I
I think they're really, really cool instruments.
I love it to death. I've been kind of training up our new bass player, and I'm constantly disappointed that he doesn't really enjoy the way it feels in his
He's
hands.
not he's
But I
not
guess that
grabbing, he's
means
not
I get to
connecting
bring it
with
home
it.
with me now. Yeah, he's not with it. He likes straight Fenders. He's a P bass guy. He's just ordered a Jaguar. Um, but on the plus side, I get to bring it home with me now instead of leaving it in the trailer.
Sure. I love that story. I'm gonna get a hold of Jeff Rouse and I'm gonna ask him if he knows.
Please do, man. That'd be so
Oh
cool.
yeah, you bet. I'll let you know what I find out. Hey, listen,
Oh
can
yeah,
you do me a favor? I bet a fella like
I
you,
can.
probably from all of the shows and the whatnots, you probably have a photograph of your. Do you have a photograph of yourself playing your Les Paul from one of your recent shows that you would be able to share with me that I could cut up and use for posts?
I have some old pictures. I haven't played a show on guitar yet.
Oh, okay.
But I have some old photos just from fill gigs I've
Yeah.
done. I can send you something like that. Yeah, let me go
Or
fish through
playing
and
the
see what I can
bass.
find.
Doesn't I don't really care. It doesn't matter to me, but I just thought maybe for
We could
you
do. How
moving
about we do
forward
a
it might be
real
nice to.
shitty? How about we do a real shitty Photoshop job where it's me playing a bass, but you just make the Les Paul
I'm
bigger?
just going to Photoshop 2 extra strings onto your bass.
Yes, yes,
um yeah, if you could send me a couple of shots, maybe something
yeah,
something I could edit into a square image, and then
yeah,
something that where your instrument isn't cut off so that I can get the full instrument and your upper body into a
yeah,
thumbnail for YouTube.
yeah. Of course,
Rad.
of course. Yeah, I'll send you a couple good ones. Let you pick.
Awesome. Is there a video for the single?
No, we're not doing a video for this one.
Okay.
It just I don't know. It just didn't really feel the drive to put something
Sure.
to visual on this one. Wanted to focus on the audio.
Did you guys make a lyric video? People love lyric
No, the
videos.
only thing we did was we actually commissioned a cartoon company. They made an advertisement for us.
Oh, that's
So
amazing.
they made a 45-second animated commercial.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh, send me that.
I will. I will. I think we're actually launching it tomorrow.
Awesome.
Yes, I'll send that over to
I'll
you.
see it on social and I'll share it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You won't be able to get away from it if our advertising works.
Great. um well, listen, man, I've had a fucking great time talking with you. I hope that you will remember that I live near Albany, New York, and if you come
Okay.
through the area here, let me know. I'll come out and see you
You
play.
know, I don't I I don't want to say too much. We just had to turn down a show in Albany
Really?
uh this month. It didn't work out. I was so disappointed.
Yeah. That's all right. So that's what happens sometimes. But
But we'll make it
it's
happen.
also not a huge pain in the ass for me to get to Poughkeepsie and get to the Chance Theater. You probably been through the Chance.
Oh, the old Chance.
Huh?
One of the worst load-ins in America, but I do like that club.
It's a cool room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's
yeah,
a very cool spot.
Don't forget about me. I need to see more rock shows. I don't get out a whole lot, you know.
I would never forget about you, Mike.
Don't forget me when you're gone.
I'll tell you what you should do. Don't forget me.
I'll tell you. You know what you should do? You should give me a ring when you're in the area.
Holler at me.
You should slide into my DMs. That's my least favorite.
That's yeah. I don't like the DM thing. That one always feels awkward. It's like just say messages or inbox or
Yeah,
something.
just email me.
Just knock it
It's
off with
fine.
all the
The letters.
letters and stuff.
Yeah, the letters. Just it's not that hard to complete a sentence, you guys. It's fucking not that hard. Come on. Um, all right. So, also, I will be in touch soon, and I'm going to need to get your mailing address because I'll have a very nice thank you package to send out to you for participating in a Couch Riffs
Oh, you're
performance
so kind.
video.
Yeah, of course.
So,
Thank
if you
you.
wouldn't mind, yeah, text me your mailing address.
Yeah,
And 6'3", but you're a slender fella. You're wearing an M.
I wear a size
You're wearing a
small.
size small. You
Yeah, I
you let the belly
I'm on
button.
this crusade of men's fashion. I think all guys are wearing the wrong size T-shirt.
Well, not.
I
I'm
think
not.
I think every guy is one size bigger than they should be. Every time I see somebody say, "Oh yeah, I wear a medium," I go, "I think you're a small." When I see them wear a medium, I think it's actually a small. I think big fashion's got us all turned around.
Probably. I mean
Yeah,
Walmart sizing.
yeah. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying, man.
All right. Well,
Hanes has turned
you've
it
got a
up.
couple very unique items coming to you. A little thank you package. So
Well, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
I appreciate the enthusiasm and energy that you put into making that video come to life.
Oh, I had a blast.
Yeah.
That was so much
So
fun.
yeah, hopefully 2 weeks that'll be out. This episode will come out Monday, and
Perfect.
hopefully will contribute to the momentum of your single.
That would be great. Yeah, we'll share it across and everything.
Awesome. All right, bud. Well, listen, man.
Thank you so much, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. Have a great weekend. Good luck with the single. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
thank you
stop the
so much.
recording now. Stop.